Hey, what's going on? Hilltop Knowledge here. Last week, I just got the notification. Wolverine, a passionate follower of mine, asked me to make a video on adults who children who like adults. And that's really important because when we talk about this, there is a double standard in place. If an adult likes a child, people accuse the adult of being a terrible person. How could you? That's off limits. Those thoughts and that belief and your way of being is off limits, and they're a bad person for being that way. But when it comes to a child who wants to be with an adult, people don't want to hear it. People don't even want to talk about it. And if it does happen, which it does all the time, because you have teenage girls and little girls saying, "Oh, I'd love to marry Brad Pitt," and as they grow up from 15 to 18, they're getting more and more explicit, but no one says anything. They, and even younger, like 12 to 15, sometimes depending on your vocabulary. And this is 10 years ago. Before, when I was raised in Orthodox school, religious, and so imagine what the secular was talking about, and it just goes to show you that there is a double standard. They can talk about it. A little girl can talk about how they want to sleep with Brad Pitt, or, well, nowadays it's, what is it, the Jonas Brothers? I don't know who's, which, I have to look it up, which girls are like fantasizing about which guys these days, but we don't talk about that. It's a great point. Now, the reason is kind of obvious. It's part of the culture. If the culture accepts it, let it be. Let it be. And the girl doesn't really mean it. They don't, so like they just brush it off. But hate to break it to you, many of these teenage girls do mean it. And when they're alone, they think about those things. So part of it is a joke. Part of it you can just say, oh, it's cultural, not a big deal. You can soften it. But the truth of the matter is, they're fantasizing about adults just as much as adults in general fantasize about children. And that's important to think about. Another reason why they allow it, the general public, is because they assume that the girls will grow up. The girls will age, the girls who are 13 fantasizing about 25-year-old guys, all these famous action-packed movies with their six-pack abs and their strong, muscular shoulders. They will grow out of it. Their hormones will lessen. They will start to be attracted to people more of their age. And also as they age, they'll be closer to that age. And so because of that facet, people aren't too worried. They're also not too worried because the girl is not going to get with such a guy. And the truth of the matter is that very often they fantasize about the celebrities, but then they want to go to parties after. So at age 15 to 17, girls are sneaking off to their parties with the seniors, and they're probably gonna hook up with 18-year-old guys, and that's fine. I'm not arguing against that. And parents shouldn't go crazy on them and be paranoid and put cameras and microphones and stuff. That's fine, but I'm just trying to say that that's the assumption that it doesn't lead anywhere is wrong. No, it does lead somewhere, and it doesn't mean you take precaution. It just means that this is normal. This is a part of life. Younger wanting to be with older is a part of life. I even saw a study, I probably mentioned this in the past, but I'll re-mention it here. It's not a study, this is the truth, that girls in their 20s are the best match with guys in their 50s. This is like a study in the 1980s. In terms of chemistry and hormones, because the woman is not the woman is not overly sexualized at age 20. Maybe nowadays it's different with all the hypersexual sexual emphases in movies and whatnot, and TV and everywhere, and billboards, and it's all accepted. But I'm pretty sure it's the same sort of idea. There's not too much of a drastic change where the girl will lost my train of thought. The girls will want to be with much older guys because they have hormones, but it's softened. So a 20-year-old girl, her ideal fantasy is to be with a 50-year-old guy. And so if you see a story of a teacher going out with a student who's 20 in college or even earlier in high school, it becomes a scandal, right? But it's not out of this world, unheard of, precisely because this is actually the best match hormones-wise. And once she gets 25 to 30, actually 30 is the main age, it was said in the 1980 study that the girls will become increase in testosterone, thereby their sex drive will increase, and the 50-year-olds lessen hormones, lessen testosterone, won't be the perfect match anymore, and they'll require someone who's younger, in their 20s, like a boy toy, as they say. But you see here, there's fluctuations of hormones, and it means that age gaps are inevitable in terms of preference. Not saying in terms of outcome, because the society is what it dictates what you're allowed to do, right? The collective ego is saying you should be with this person, therefore you're encouraged to be with that person. You should be with that, and so on, and that makes it very hard to have a matchup that's quote unquote taboo or different from the mainstream. But here, you know that it's a phenomenon in nature that a young woman will want to be with an older man. And if you want to argue with me with these studies, fine. I'm welcome to hear new information. If my information's outdated, so be it. I will adjust and rethink the circumstance. I think that covers most of it. So all in all, a young woman being with an older man is not only unheard of. It's kind of biologically formatted that way, you know, and you know you can come up with all kinds of reasons why the evolution ended up that way. It could just be coincidence, but it, you know, you should realize that it happens in nature. So the reason why it's such a stigma is completely societally created. It's culturally fixated as the norm, and therefore we're forced into not adopting a different approach. So someone might be upset because a girl who's 13 can crush on a guy who's 28, but a guy who is 28, or a girl who's 28, can't crush on a boy who's 13 or 12 as easily. I've seen it happen. Many girls, oh my god, he's so cute, and even sometimes, oh my god, what a hottie. You know, you do hear this from girls, but it's uncommon, first of all, and many people, not saying most people, but many people be like, that's kind of you're a little weird there. You know, I'm not gonna criticize you too much, but you're a little weird. So you get the weird looks if a girl compliments a guy for being hot at the age, you know, because he's 13. So there is a double standard there, which I've mentioned in the beginning, and like I said, it's just societal blocking. It's societal. It's like dogma. You know, it's just the belief systems or the cultural standards that we've decided is what we shouldn't break down. And that's why it is the way it is. And you know, I wouldn't say you gotta rock the boat too much, but definitely it's good to insert points here and there. For a few people on my channel, it's not going to make a revolution in terms of change. What you need is a new president for that. So I mentioned in my previous video about Sanders. I believe that Sanders will be concerned for the minorities to the extent that even people who have leanings that are unconventional, such as pedophilia, will have a better shot at being included in the minority groupings without too much criticism. To the extent that they'll be assisted, and even culturally there could be a paradigm shift that will alleviate some of the age rigidities. So if you pick Joe Biden as a Democrat, you know, left wing, you will be screwed. Joe Biden is a puppet. True, you know, he's probably going to face some mental health problems in the next few years, but and therefore all of his decisions are going to be establishment. But I don't think the establishment cares too much for making radical change. They'll just do what the current is. But Sanders is willing to direct the current to a new thing, and therefore the undertone of social responsibility as a theme will help this hidden pedophile and oppressed community have a better shot at being integrated and breaking stigmas.